You wake up, tired, even after a full night of sleep. You struggle to focus. Your motivation is gone. Your body feels heavy. Your mind feels scattered. And at some point, you start thinking, something is wrong with you. Maybe you're just burned out. Maybe you are lazy. Maybe it's just a phase. But the truth is, energy doesn't disappear randomly. It leaks. And it leaks through very specific patterns that most people don't even notice. If this feels familiar, stay with me until the end of this video, because what I'm about to explain may completely change the way you understand your energy, your state, and even your health. You are on the Anton channel, where we talk about working with the subconscious and the real mechanisms that shape your life. My name is Anton. I'm a psychologist and hypnotherapist, and one of the most common things people tell me is not "I have a problem" or "I feel anxious," but something much simpler and much deeper: "I have no energy." And here is the key idea. Energy is not just physical, it is primarily psychological. You can sleep 8 hours, eat well, even work out, and still feel completely drained. And at the same time, you can be physically tired, but feel driven, alive, and focused. And the difference between those two states is not your body, it's how your mind is operating. Every single day, your brain produces tens of thousands of thoughts, and only a small fraction of them are actually useful, actionable, or productive. The rest is noise, repetitive thinking, overanalyzing, internal conversations. Imagine scenarios, worries, and unfinished mental loops. And each of those loops consumes energy, even if you never act on them. Imagine having dozens of tabs open in your browser, none of them closed, all of them running in the background, draining your system. And you are doing nothing physically, but internally, you're overloaded. And that alone is enough to exhaust you. Another major drain is anxiety. And here is how it works. When your brain does not understand what is happening, when you lack clarity, when you cannot make a decision, when you live in uncertainty, it switches into threat detection mode, and your body begins preparing for danger. Stress hormones increase, cortisol rises, adrenaline kicks in. Your system becomes activated, and this is useful in the danger. It's real in the short term, but if you live in this state for weeks, months, or even years, your body begins to break down, not because something is wrong, but first because it is constantly in survival mode. The most exhausting state is anxiety without action, because you are not moving, you are not resolving anything, but you are constantly tense, constantly preparing, constantly expecting something to go wrong, and this drains far more energy than actual physical effort. Another hidden drain is unfinished situation, not just tasks, but emotional and psychological loops that were never closed. Conversations you avoided, decisions you postponed, problems you didn't resolve. Each of these remains active in your mind, like a background process that never shuts down, continuously pulling your energy. Then there is emotional weight, especially resentment, which works like carrying invisible stones in your pockets. You may forget they are there, but they still weight you down. And the more unresolved emotional experience you carry, the more energy is required just to hold them inside. One of the strongest drains is also lying to yourself, living a life that is not truly yours, following paths that were imposed on you, chasing goals that don't belong to you. And deep down, your subconscious always knows when something is not aligned, so it starts resisting. First through lack of motivation, then through procrastination, then through confusion, and eventually even through physical symptoms. Because your system is trying to stop you. Guilt and shame also consume enormous amounts of energy. When a person constantly blames themselves, replays mistakes, judges themselves, they are not living, they are stuck. They are stuck in internal conflict, and that conflict requires constant energy. Fear works the same way, especially when it has no clear direction. When you are afraid but don't know what to do, when you expect something wrong or bad but have no plan, fear becomes a constant background state, and your system never relaxes. But the moment fear gets a plan, it weakens, because your brain understands there is a way out, and uncertainly it disappears. Another major factor is unrealistic expectation. When you imagine life should be one way, but reality turns out differently, you don't just feel disappointed, you lose energy, because energy is lost in the gap between your expectation and reality. And the bigger that gap, the stronger the emotional drop. So what do you do about all this? First, understand that rest alone will not restore your energy if the cause is psychological. You can sleep and still feel empty, because the real drain is not physical. Second, reduce mental noise. Not all information you consume is necessary, and constant input overloads your system. Third, start closing loops, even small ones, because every completed action returns energy. 4. Work with your internal states, anxiety, resentment, fear, guilt, because that's where most of your energy is leaking. And the most important thing is direction, because when a person has a real goal, energy returns, not because life becomes easier, but because there is a movement, there is a meaning, there is a reason to act. And the brain switches from waiting for danger to creating results, and this changing everything. So please, ask yourself honestly, are you living with energy right now, or are you just surviving? Do you have direction, or are you stuck? Because if there is no movement inside, energy will always disappear. This is exactly what I work with in my practice. Not just fatigue, but the mechanism behind it. Why I lost energy, why it goes, and how to restore it on a deeper level, not temporarily, but systematically. If this resonates with you, you can reach out to me on Telegram. We will look at your situation, identify what is draining your energy, and see whether it can be changed. And in most cases, it can. If this video was valuable for you, like it, subscribe it to the channel, and write in the comments what drains your energy the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.